The Summer Hikaru Died, Episode 1. So, another great anime by Netflix recently coming out. I love that the title is about the summer and it comes out in the summer. Really great stuff. So, this episode just starts off kind of morbid, where somebody is out there looking for Hikaru, which we later find out is his best friend or his potential love interest, Yoshiko, and they couldn't find him, but something does end up finding Hikaru, as it seemingly he seems to be passing away or not coming back to life. Um, so he we later see Yoshiko and Hikaru hanging out together, and it's all fun and dandy. They're like kind of bantering with one another. Yoshiko's kind of making fun of the way Hikaru's talking, like his pronunciation is off, and how he doesn't remember anything that happened during the week that he went missing in the mountains. And it's almost seemingly like there's a lot of hints to something is wrong with Hikaru super early on, and then he just Yoshiko just comes out and asks this Hikaru, "Hey, are you actually really Hikaru? You?" And while he's doing it, he's kind of trembling, kind of scared to ask, because this looks just like Hikaru, talks just like Hikaru, has the same memories as Hikaru, but Yoshiko notices something just feels off about him. And lo and behold, he fesses up. He is not Hikaru, but he would like it if he kept on thinking he was Hikaru, because otherwise he might end up having to end him as well. And it's really frightening, because he hugs him and it's kind of like you can see Yoshiko's not necessarily feeling the best about it. Like he instantly is like scared for his life, kind of wondering what comes next. And yeah, they get to talking, and Yoshiko kind of is like, okay, well, I'll just keep pretending like you are Hikaru. So we get a little flashback of the day prior to Hikaru disappearing in the mountain, and how they were talking about their life heading into like high school, and how like Hikaru was constantly teasing Yoshiko about, hey, you should, if you find a girlfriend, you're still not gonna get rid of me because I'm just gonna be right there. And how like the last impression that, or the last talk that they had together was about how Hikaru got a bad impression of like one of the teachers. And you can really see that Yoshiko's really feels guilty about that, because as he's at his home, he starts crying himself after waking up, after realizing, man, Hikaru's really gone. And his way of coping with it necessarily is not the best, because he's both grieving him and kind of seeing him, this entity that is now Hikaru, and kind of is forcing himself to pretend that's Hikaru. And meanwhile, he hasn't really processed him leaving, and processed all the stuff that comes with mourning a lost one. And we there's another interesting part where Hikaru and Yoshiko see this movie at school, and this entity starts crying while watching the movie, and then Yoshiko kind of points out like, "Hey, why are you crying? Like me and you have seen this movie like 5 times already." And this entity kind of points out, "Yeah, I have memories of it, but like this is still my first time experiencing this movie." And that's really interesting aspect of this, because this entity not only is Hikaru now, but like he holds all the memories, and technically he should know how it feels and how this movie made Hikaru feel. This is still like his first time actually experiencing those emotions and actually trying to be human, which is another aspect that I really enjoy. This entity has to wants to be human so bad that while being Hikaru, he is experiencing things for the first time, and he is really being human for the first time. So it's really interesting seeing that dynamic as we have this guy that's Hikaru experiencing everything at first, and Yoshiko, who is obviously trying to cope with the fact that he knows his love interest or his best friend just is technically dead. He's just trying to fool himself into thinking this is the real Hikaru, and Hikaru's not really dead as long as this guy looks like Hikaru and acts like Hikaru and is able to talk to him like Hikaru would. So really great stuff. We also have things in the background kind of building where there's this guy with like markings on the back of his neck that is looking for monsters potentially, or like the thing that is probably taking over Hikaru. So it's really interesting that while all this stuff is happening with Hikaru and Yoshiko, there's other stuff leading that is playing behind the scenes that's gonna play effect I think later on. And I really love having this montage afterwards of just Yoshiko and this fake Hikaru just going around sightseeing, and Yoshiko kind of wants this Hikaru to tell him, hey, what else would you like to see? Kind of like trying to feed him into experiencing more things, and essentially just wanting to experience more things with Hikaru as well. So this is his way of kind of realizing the love that never flourished because he was too scared to tell Hikaru he liked them. And at one point, he asks him, like, "Hey, do you like me or do you love me?" And this entity just replies, "Yeah, I like you." And he realized Hikaru never said that to me. So now we have a even great reason for him trying to cope with the fact that this entity is Hikaru, and he really wants to buy in to the fact he is Hikaru so that he can experience things that with Hikaru he never got to experience with the real Hikaru. Still, it's gonna it while at the same time he's still crying himself to sleep, still mourning the fact that now that he's experiencing these things with this entity and not Hikaru, he it's almost like he's betraying Hikaru, so he's also feeling guilt over wanting these things with the fake Hikaru instead of the real Hikaru. But yeah, we also meet this old lady that looks at this entity and calls it a Nonuki. I think is like the bird. What I'm gonna start. What it is the actual name of this creature, and even more so, like a lot of people are noticing that this Nonuki is gonna be Hikaru, and I think as we later find out, this Nonuki is doesn't want anybody to know who he is. He wants to just experience life as a human and not have to worry about having to kill anybody or end anybody's life. He wants to be able to live life as a human and not as a monster that he is, which is really interesting. We have a monster wanting to be humanified, and we have Yoshiko who has to dehumanize himself in order to appease this monster and also appease his own grief of losing Hikaru. Really interesting stuff. Episode ends off with this Nonuki ending the grandma that was scared of him, and now the guy that was looking for him looking for monsters like him earlier in the episode is like, well, looks like I'm going to this village where this Nonuki or fake Hikaru is, and yeah, I really love I'm really loving this anime. The animation's great. The music is amazing. I really am interested to find out what this whole purpose is of keeping this Hikaru appearance. Like, what is the monster gonna gain from being Hikaru? What's he gonna do once he is no longer fulfilled by being Hikaru? What's gonna happen to Yoshiko? Is he gonna learn to accept Hikaru's death and actually betray this monster, or is he really gonna buy into that this is Hikaru and never actually process the grief of losing his best friend slash love interest. Just really interesting stuff. For this first episode, I think I rated a safe 8 out of 10 for me.